As the GOP pushes its cut, cap, and balance plan to fix the debt crisis, Democratic opposition is in full stream.
I'm going to ask every American right now, get out your credit cards, cut them up, free yourselves, free yourselves. Don't count on this Congress to help you. This Congress already voted to end Medicare. They're flirting with disaster on this debt right now.
Great theater, right? But will we hear any solutions from the left? Let's ask Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff from California. Congressman, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Good to be with you.
All right, so I want to read a tweet from you. You tweeted about this very thing, and you said, cut, cap, and balance isn't a serious legislative proposal, but a political device to give members of the majority political cover. What did you mean by that?
Well, I don't think there's any secret about it. The reason this is being put forward by the Republican leadership is they want to give their members something they can vote for, so that when they have to take a tougher vote later in the week or next week, they can say, well, at least I supported this cut and cover constitutional amendment and provide some place to hide politically. I think that's the only purpose. Everyone knows this isn't going anywhere. And unfortunately, we don't have all that much time left. I really don't think we have time to spend on things that people acknowledge on both sides of the aisle aren't going to get to the goal line and aren't really a serious effort to deal with the problem. It's unfortunately just a distraction.
Well, you know, on the other side of the aisle, folks are saying that the Democrats aren't putting anything forward. I want you to respond from comments from Congressman Rich Nugent. Here's the congressman.
We need a balanced budget amendment. The president has yet to send to this body anything in writing. All we've received is a speech in rhetoric. We need to move this country forward. We need a balanced budget amendment.
So what's your solution to the debt crisis?
Well, it's not a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. I mean, we balanced the budget during the Clinton administration without the need to go to the Constitution to do it. What we need, you know, is the political will and the willingness to compromise. And, you know, this is something that President Reagan and Speaker O'Neill were able to do. It's something that we ought to be able to do, and I think the President has set out the broad outline. I think the Gang of Six recently has set out another outline, and basically we all know what the ingredients are. We're going to have to make major reductions to spending, and those reductions in spending are going to have to be on the domestic side. They're also going to have to include defense cuts. We're also going to have to raise revenues. We're going to have to do away with some of the oil industry special tax cuts, some income tax cuts that we can't afford right now. And we're going to have to deal with some of our long-term structural problems, in particular the unaffordable escalation of health care costs. Those are the pieces that are going to have to all come together, and the question is in what dimension. And I think what's encouraging about what the Gang of Six has put out is it recognizes we need a shared sacrifice and a balanced agenda.
Well, with all due respect, sir, I mean, where's the specifics in your plan that you just outlined there? I didn't hear any numbers.
Well, you don't hear numbers in the balanced budget amendment either. That is, you know, I think,
but there are
as
numbers
I mentioned
to the
before,
Republican plan. Absolutely.
Well, there are numbers in the Ryan budget, which I don't think anyone supports, and most of the Republican members are trying to run away from. There certainly aren't numbers in terms of what we're going to be voting on this week in any meaningful way that are likely to get to the president or get through the Senate. Yes, you know, time is running out, and it looks to me like we're going to end up falling back, unfortunately, on the McConnell proposal. I would much rather see us come to the kind of broad and grand agreement the president has outlined that would amount to you know, $4 to $5 trillion in cuts over the next many years. That, I think, is what we ought to do. I would like nothing better than to see the president, the Republican leadership, and the Democratic leadership in the Congress on the White House steps announcing they have decided on a tough but necessary program for the country. I think people in both parties would embrace that. I think they would welcome that.
It's time to find some common ground, I'll tell you. I want to get your response, though, to a poll, which I think is really interesting. It looks like Republicans are going to take the blame if there is no agreement in the offing. House Republicans, if the debt ceiling blame, if there's no deal, who's responsible? In a Quinnipiac University poll, 48% blame the Republicans. Who do you think will get blamed, and who should be blamed?
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be a pox in all houses. Everyone is going to get blamed. There's no one who's going to come out of this well. I think what you're referring to in those polls is an indication that the public views the GOP as being more intransigent. I've seen other polls recently, you have as well, that show that the need for some revenue increase is broadly held by Democrats, Republicans, and independents alike. So this adamant position against any kind of revenue increase, I think, is probably driving those polls and driving the perception that the GOP hasn't been willing to compromise, hasn't been willing to give.
Well, Congressman, it's great to have a Democrat on. It's not always easy to get Democrats to come on our network, so we appreciate your being here. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be heard. Thank you.
All right. If you're fired up about this or any of the issues on the program, drop us an email to willisreport@foxbusiness.com.